You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. What is happening, folks? Happy Thursday, right? Thursday? Is it Thursday? Jen, is it Thursday? It's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
Hope everybody out there is having a great Thursday. We got Lady Luck coming on, allegedly. She's not here yet, but that's all right. We'll give her a few minutes, and if she doesn't make it, something happens, we will. We got some other things to talk about too. But first and foremost, I want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. Thank you so much for coming in. Two's Ret 2210. I don't know if I've ever seen your handle before, so welcome. Natalie Herman, good to see you. I see we got some Jay Witt people up in the house. I see those green hearts. Lynn Pell 33, which, by the way, make sure we book something with Jay Witt. We keep talking about it. We both of us keep getting busy. And let me just go ahead and bring on my lovely producer and co-host, Jen, the producer.
Hey, everyone. Hope you're having a great night. Thank you, Gary, for having me back, as always.
Yeah, still on probation. We'll see how this one goes.
I know.
Con, good to see you. Thanks to all the mods out there. Lori Matthews, Disney up, Boiler up, Lori Matthews again, Got Offspring, Mark Dennis Fritz, and many, many more. Make sure you guys say hi over in the chats. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, down in the description below is a link. You can become a member, or you can go check us out on X, and you can become a subscriber if you want to help us out and support us that way too. I think what I'm going to do at 9:30, no matter what, we're going to close this down at 9:30 or no later than, and I'm going to do a X space over there. So if you guys want to jump on there, just came off of one, and we had a lot of the alternative theory folks. I think we had some good discussions. I was invited to a space, and it was me against all of them. And I think we did have some good discussions. And I think, you know what, it's important to, like, especially on X and social media, it's number one, tone, intent is lost in text, and things get heated. And I could tell there was a lot more civility and rational discussion going on in those spaces. So I think that's something I'm going to do more of, and hopefully invite more people that disagree with me. As a matter of fact, speaking of which, tomorrow, we're going to have Zach Costello on at 1 p.m. And he and I are going to try to go through any and every Candace as far as we can get between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. He just did a debate with Andrew. Help me out, Jen. What was his name? All right, hold on. You guys know who I'm talking about. Andrew the Crucible. My God, my goodness, my brain is not working tonight. I'm sure somebody has it in the chat. And that is posted earlier. Andrew Wilson. Definitely worth watching. Look, I would say that Andrew dismantles him pretty readily. That being said, I have a lot of respect for Zach for willing to go on with, especially with Andrew Wilson, and come on and talk to me about all the things that he thinks are true. And we'll just go through as much as we can and hopefully have a fun, courteous, overwhelming amount of, I don't know, camaraderie, good intent, all those things.
Sorry about that, Gary. My headset was on mute.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So anyways, between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., when it'll be live. And then, of course, you can watch it later on as well. We already got a super chat. Lynn Pell. Hi, Jen. Gary, love you, buddy. But can't you take 1 minute to explain what the spaces was that I hopped down a little while ago and heard some guy bitching? Yeah. So there's a person on X named Eco something. as you can see, I can't remember names, especially when I've been up all night. No sleep last night again. Just how I roll. Anyways, he had invited me to a space, him and a bunch of the other alternative theory folks. So I get on there and, of course, a couple of them going crazy, whatever. Like, if you're not going to have a good faith discussion, then what's the point? If you're just going to talk shit to me, I don't know what to say. I'll sit here and listen to you. And I'll definitely push back. So that's how that went. So I am going to host a similar one to continue that discussion on our own. People can come, jump in, whatever they want to do, and we can further that debate for sure. If you will, Jen, go ahead and pull up the Sean Ryan and Joe Kent video.
You got it.
Some of that for sure. Dang, Gary, that intro came on. I did a combat moving vehicle, landed straight in the prone support position. I'm a little skint up, but no worries. Badass right there, brother. Well, thank you. And that's a big thank to CJ. He hooked us up with that. Odorized ramblings. I've missed so much of the shows lately. My question is, bricks is a huge problem. Is this a masterclass chess move against bricks? It is. I don't know if it's definitely a secondary or tertiary impact on what's going on with Iran for sure. It's definitely an assault on bricks. So yes, and Venezuela was too. Along with giving the loudest, most ignorant bully his FAFO medicine. Yeah. So it's all the above. It's an indirect attack against China. It's an indirect attack against Russia, which of course is all included in BRICS as well. So there's that. Apologies, my comment on the Candace assaulted video started controversy. I legit thought I missed something. I'm on your side. No, I knew your comment was obviously in good faith, and people started jumping on. It was so what Disney Boiler Up is talking about. All of these, what we've been doing or trying to do is these longer episodes, and hopefully some of you have seen them. We start breaking them up. I have a audio video guy, and he's been breaking them up to like 8-10 minute clips, trying to pull out some of the good content, and then we repost that stuff. And what happens is he gives me those in batches, and I mislabeled one of the videos and posted it, and it said, if you guys remember when I was talking to Tamara, we were talking about the fight that she got into in the Blockbuster. And so I thought I was posting that video, and I posted a different video, and it said, CandaceO did Candace Owen get assaulted? Something like that. And of course, immediately, well, number one, Disney pointed out, hey, did she get assaulted in this? So I was like, oh, wrong video. And by the time I got to it and switched it out, the title within, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Of course, we had like, oh, this is clickbait. This is wrong. I thought you were honest. I was like, my God, man, it was an accident. It was an accident. It's a tough crowd down there in the comments. What else is going on out there, folks? What else is happening?
So I have the video pulled up.
I see it. Yep.
You want to do a couple more super chats? Are you ready?
Yeah, we'll do a couple more comments. I'll go through. Gary, if you can't sleep, read your Bible and pray. That is a very good recommendation for sure. And by the way, Project Constitution messaged me the other day with something else, and I admonished him heavily. And I was like, you know what, dude? I almost feel sorry for you. It's like you're my retarded little stepbrother. Like, you could do so much good with the amount of followers that you have, and you just reduce yourself to the slop just for clicks. Like, all you got to do is have some integrity, and you could turn around. You could turn around right now, Colin. You could be a better man right now and just start having some standards and having some integrity. And now you have, like, I don't know, he has like 280,000 followers or something like that on X. Not insignificant. It might be more than that. And it's just a shame. It's a shame with all these people. But with that being said, that's how he got to 280,000 followers or whatever he has. So, it's clickbait. It's just fantasy stuff. It's the National Enquirer on X. I mean, it's just false every single time. I tagged you and Jen on a YouTube video I shared. I watched it today and we really went down a rabbit hole. I will try to check it out. I bet I have, folks, just so that you're aware and just so that you don't think that you're tagging me and stuff and I'm ignoring you. I probably have, I bet no less than 60 videos that people have either DM'd me, tagged me in that want me to watch it, recommend them in the comments. And I try to get to a lot of those, but it's a lot. I'm doing my best. Doing my best. All right, let's do this. We'll see if Lady Luck shows up. But in the meantime, what we're going to do, so I'm not wasting your time, I have been wanting to go through this video with Sean Ryan. So we'll go ahead and play that. And go ahead, Jen, take it away.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creator.
Welcome back, man.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
It's an honor to have you. So you resigned last week.
I did.
How's that going?
About as good as resigning to the president can go, I think.
It's definitely created a lot of buzz. I don't
know. Many of you have
I
heard
just
my
want to commend you. And
thoughts.
I mean, I know that took a lot of courage.
Many of you have heard my feelings and thoughts on just his resignation. Forget about all the other stuff. You guys tell me in the comments below what you thought of his resignation letter and the way that he presented that on X and the way that he delivered it straight to the president. In my opinion, he kind of jumped the chain of command. He should have delivered that to Tulsi Gabbard, but that really is not my point. Anyhow, it's the content of that letter. You guys let me know if you think it was professional or it was seditious. Well, throwing in that resignation letter that he believed that the president of the United States was being controlled by Israel. You guys tell me what you think about that, but go ahead and hit play, Jim.
That took some serious balls to do that, especially with the statement you made. Wow. And, internally, but just me, myself, I haven't been happy about really much of anything that's been going on. I feel like it's been a 180 bait and switch from what we were told in just about every aspect. And I've been wondering, because I know there's people frustrated up there, and I've been wondering, what are you still doing in the position if you're not doing the fucking job that you were supposed to do? Why are you still there? Is it power? Is it because it's not power? They might think it's power, but if you're not able to do the fucking job that you're there to do, then you're powerless.
EVE Online is a vast universe.
Right?
That's the conclusion that I came to. I mean, after a year of really, trying as hard as we could to advance what we believed the agenda was, in particular, keeping us out of endless wars, and preventing, more bloodshed overseas, and then potentially more blowback terrorism here. I just felt like we weren't being effective. I wasn't being effective anymore. And so for me, it's like, I don't want to stay just because I have a title, some degree of, I don't know, prestige, whatever. I don't want to stay for that. I want to stay for the mission, but then also just seeing, and I'm sure we'll get into it, there's things I mentioned in the resignation letter, seeing the way we're being slow walked and then rapidly entering this war. I had to say something about it. I couldn't be a part of it once the coffin started coming back.
Go ahead and pause it for a second.
From Dover, from overseas.
I'll remove that. I'm going to add I think we need to kind of predicate watching this video with this information. I covered it a little bit yesterday, but I just want everybody to be clear on what the National Counterterrorism Center can and can't do. So this is an AI overview. I double checked this to make sure that it is accurate. It is indeed accurate. So the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, has no investigative authority. The NCTC has no law enforcement or criminal investigative authority. It does not open or conduct criminal investigations. It does not have subpoena power, arrest authority, or the ability to interrogate suspects. It does not execute surveillance or other law enforcement actions under criminal authorities. Any information NCTC encounters that constitutes evidence of a crime but is not foreign intelligence is handled under strict minimization procedures. It may be retained or disseminated only for law enforcement purposes, typically by promptly referring or handing it off to appropriate agencies like the FBI, which is primary investigative responsibility for terrorism-related crimes with a U.S. nexus. NCTC must generally purge such non-foreign intelligence evidence of a crime information after appropriate dissemination. So they can't even hold on to evidence. They have to give that over, and if they have a copy of it, they're supposed to purge it. This is all by statute, by the way. So this isn't optional. This isn't what you can do. This is dictated by law. How NCTC supports investigations without conducting them. NCTC acts as a fusion center that breaks down silos between intelligence agency. It provides all source analytic support and threat assessments to the FBI, DHS, and other partners. It provides actionable intelligence or leads that can inform ongoing investigations. It does support watch listing and identity management support. It does support strategic planning that coordinates but does not command the efforts of investigative agencies. For example, NCTC analysts might identify terrorism nexus in data and alert law enforcement partners who then decide whether and how to investigate. NCTC itself does not investigate in a criminal sense. Legal and structural limits. The IRTPA and the NCTC statutes emphasize these boundaries, all right? Acting outside of this is illegal. These people do not have 1811 series authority whatsoever. The director of the NCTC may assign roles in strategic plans, but shall not direct the execution of any resulting operations. NCTC's mission is intelligence-driven support to the broader counterterrorism enterprise, not direct action or criminal probes. Domestic terrorism without a foreign nexus is primarily the domain of the FBI, the DHS, and with NCTC providing supporting analysis where appropriate, subject to congressional and policy limits on purely domestic matters. In summary, NCTC supports the prevention and investigation of terrorism-related crimes through intelligence fusion and planning, but it has no authority to investigate the crimes itself. The responsibility rests with the law enforcement agencies like the FBI. Official descriptions from ODNI, NCTC, and oversight documents consistently reinforce this distinction to maintain separation between intelligence and law enforcement functions while enabling effective information sharing. Its role is often described as a fusion cell or a central hub that breaks down silos, a key 9/11 Commission recommendation, so that the intelligence from the CIA, NSA, FBI, etc., can be combined for better strategic understanding and planning. It can receive and analyze data. You guys get the point. All right, so it is a fusion center. It is an area, it's the hub where all different intelligence agencies provide information so that it can be stored, analyzed, and disseminated to other agencies that, number one, have privilege and access to that information, and number two, are going to use that for investigations. So the idea that Joe Kent was blocked from an investigation, he not only does he not have authority, he legally can't investigate anything. And now, so far he has given his opinion on the Butler assassination, which is outside of his purview and outside of his jurisdiction. He has given his opinion. Now he's given it on the DC pipe bomb. Now he's all up in that. That's not under his purview or under his jurisdiction. He has no authority or responsibility to be doing that. He's also given his opinion and potentially leaked, allegedly, information regarding Charlie Kirk assassination. And I also believe, I don't think that he's under investigation for, and this is pure speculation, purely my opinion, and allegedly, I don't think that he's under investigation for leaking the information regarding Charlie Kirk in the text message. I think he's under investigation for leaking the information regarding Thomas Crooks to Candace Owens, which she disseminated or published that information September 24th, and Tucker Carlson around the same time. So that's what I think he's actually in trouble for and under investigation. And he was on his way out. And I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions as to why he decided to resign. So I think that needs to be crystal clear as we go into the rest of this conversation. Go ahead, Jen. Throw that back up there.
These two over.
Before you hit
I
play,
just
let
couldn't
me-
be a part of it just based on all the experience.
I'm actually, I think this is the least important. I think this is a really bad angle of attack on Joe Kent. There's a lot of things that we can criticize, but Sonia Collier, 4 kids, said after he said he would testify if called on behalf of Tyler Robinson, even if it allowed him to walk, I can't feel sympathy for him. What we're talking about is potentially the defense subpoenaing, giving Joe Kent a subpoena, so he has to come to court, right? He wouldn't have a choice. So, like, I mean, honestly, if you ask me, Gary, would you, if you were subpoenaed, would you go and testify on behalf of Tyler Robinson? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I would. You know, well, what if that information that you gave them, if you were just telling the truth, got him off? Well, I mean, I guess that's what it is. So I just don't think that, like, there's so much that we can criticize him on. I don't think this is a good one, because unless you're willing to break the law and just decide that you're not going to go testify, I think it was a really piss poor hypothetical question to begin with. So I really put more onus on the questioner compared to him. All right, go ahead, play.
As I had previously, because I'd said to myself years ago, if I was ever in a position to prevent us from getting involved in a quagmire, I wouldn't be quiet about it. I would say something about it, and so that weighed heavily on me. But then I truly believe, like I said in the letter, that the way that the president was influenced by the media, but then also by Israeli government officials, and the way that decision making was took place in a compartmentalized environment, compartmentalized in the sense that the president didn't have much in terms of people giving him alternative viewpoints, that our country was in a bad spot. And the most effective thing that I could do was resign publicly.
Pause that, Jim.
You're getting a ton of hate and you're being attacked.
All right. So basically what he's saying is, like, here I was sitting in this compartmentalized environment, and all these people were, in my opinion, giving President Trump bad advice. Folks, I want you to think about Department of Defense, the CIA, the FBI, the DIA, NSA, all, like, we're talking about over 10,000 people that are in the decision-making process as far as giving information, feeding information up to the president himself. We have the chief of staff. We have all of the Pentagon. We have thousands of field officers in there coming up with war plans and giving advice, recommendations, contingency planning, all of those things, giving them up to the president of the United States. A lot of intel analysis that he's being fed. And all of these people, literally easily over 10,000 people, are inside of this decision-making process. You know who's not inside that decision-making process? Is Joe Kent. And he's saying, you know what? All of these people are wrong. What I believe is right. And because they're not going with, and by the way, none of this is my job. This is my job as counterterrorism. I could be defending this country and making sure that I'm 100% dedicated to ensuring that there is not another terrorist attack, that we don't miss any intelligence coming in. We analyze it promptly, correctly, and make sure that we get it to the investigative agencies and authorized bodies that can actually go out and actually do some investigation work, because I can't do investigation work. But they're all wrong. And somebody should be listening to me. I mean, the audacity of that. And then on top of that, you're like, I'm so pissed off that nobody's listening to me. The president himself's not listening to me. He should be doing foreign policy different. He should be engaging in war different. And I'm so pissed off about this that I'm going to not only resign, I'm going to do it as publicly as possible. And at the same time, I'm going to do it as seditiously as possible and send it up, put it on X, and let everybody know that I believe the United States president himself is being controlled by a foreign country. And because I've determined that Iran is not an imminent threat, even though the president has over 10,000 people in this decision-making process, I'm not in it. I've determined that Iran is not an imminent threat for whatever reason. So I'm going to leave now. Doesn't make sense. I mean, that's Candace Owens level of narcissism. Maybe worse. Maybe worse. You're the only guy that can give the president of the United States the right information. And it's not even your job. It's not even your job. Like, he's that guy. Look, having worked at Department of State and federal governments, like, you have all these different departments, and man, you can spot that guy a million miles away. He's that guy that's coming over in your department, has nothing to do with it. He's watching you guys. He's the one that's going to determine whether you guys are acting right, you guys are doing your job or not. And he's going to go and spread rumors or go try to get you in trouble. Like, there's that busybody guy that can't do his job because he's so worried about what everybody else is doing around him. That's him. And that's crazy to me because he comes from the same place that I come from, where it's like, bro, do your job. Do your job so well that you don't have time to worry about other people. I bet the NCTC is extremely busy. I bet anytime that he's not looking at something or managing people, which is really what he's going to end up doing, and making sure that policies are followed through and that the will of the president is taking place, that's his job. If he's worried about all these other things, the DC bomber, the Tyler Robinson, Thomas Crooks, like, what are you doing, dude? You have no investigative, and then you have the audacity to go like, well, they blocked me from the investigation. I can't believe these people. I had some good ideas, bro. I had some good ideas. I saw some stuff that I thought should have been pursued, and then I gave them to the people that were supposed to pursue them. They're like, this is trash, man. Like, I don't want to pursue this. Oh, these guys. Oh, now the president thinks he can do what president stuff. He shouldn't be doing that. I should be doing that. He should be listening to me. Like, come on. It's such a disgrace when you look at it from that perspective. It really is. Cummings Carnage. Hey, Gary, been watching your channel every day for months now. I used to watch Charlie and Candace every day until she went off the rails. Just wanted to say I appreciate everything you do. Keep it up. Cummings Carnage, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Melanie Francis, please keep up the shorter topic-based videos. Super helpful. I was able to quickly debunk some BS on X with those. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. And we will. We're going to continue to do that. Look, I realize what you all may not realize is, like, live streams are great. They have a less than 24-hour shelf life. So basically, I know that whatever views we get in 24 hours on a live stream, because what happens is people are going through their algorithm or going through their feed. Even people that are subscribers is like, oh, they see this 3.5 hour video. They're like, oh, I don't have 3.5 hours. But so, like, whatever you get in 24 hours, you're not going to see the needle move in views. But you can post these 8-minute videos, 10-minute videos, 20-minute, pre-made videos, and those will continue to get views for months on end. So it is beneficial to us as well. So thank you for letting us know that you like those and giving us that feedback.
And we're going to have more coming out soon.
Yes, we do. We got a whole bunch of them back there. And speaking of which, somebody in the chat probably right now, I spent the day on this device showing him how to publish videos. We got other people helping us out with that. So to that person, I don't know if he wants to be named publicly, but I really appreciate you, man, and all your help. All right. You can hit play.
The FBI is coming after you. You've been accused of leaking. You've been accused of all kinds of stuff. It's ridiculous in my mind. But, I think the one thing that you've been accused of the most is people are pissed that you called Israel out. Mm-hmm. They're really upset. Yeah. And they make it sound like there's zero.
We're not pissed off that you called out Israel. No, we're pissed off that you directly said that the president of the United States was being controlled by another foreign country without any evidence. As a matter of fact, all the evidence to the contrary. A small little country the size of New Jersey is not dictating policy of what the United States. We may consider, based on intelligence, based on our alliance, based on friendly ties, like that is definitely a part of the decision-making process, but they're not telling us what to do overseas. It's just dumb. Go ahead.
Justification for that. But, I have a couple of things right here that I want to read off. I mean, You're saying that the administration, president himself, was influenced to strike Iran for Israel's benefit. I mean, Rubio said that we hit them because Israel was going to hit them first. Then the Wall Street Journal had an article out, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, and this is quoted.
For the router, I don't pay anything for it.
The installation was super easy. I didn't have to go pick.
To help make the case on Iran, Lindsey Graham traveled several times to Israel in recent weeks, meeting with members of the country's intelligence agency. This is in quotation. They tell me things our own government won't tell me, he said. He spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, coaching him on how to lobby the president for action. Netanyahu showed the president intelligence that persuaded Trump to go ahead, Graham said. I mean, it's Reuters about an hour ago today. Reuters. Less than 48 hours before the U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran began, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke by phone to President Donald Trump about the reasons for launching the kind of complex, far-off war the American leader once had campaigned against. I mean, it's not absurd that you're saying that
and you can just hit the space bar usually, Jim. I said this earlier on a space. I was like, not only did he do all that, not only did he resign, throw the president under the bus, completely subvert the president, but on top of that, he did it as he was virtue signaling. Like that was the real, that's the chef's kiss right there to the FU. I mean, he's like, I'm too virtuous for this administration. I'm too smart. I know how to do things. I'm too virtuous. There's probably a little bit of straw man in there. I apologize. But as far as the too smart, but I mean, essentially that's what he was saying. Like, I'm too virtuous for this. I am a conscientious objector to this war. So I'm just going to quit. And as I go out, I'm going to subvert the president. Like, couldn't be more seditious. I mean, it's just, I really am ashamed. I wanted to throw this up there too, Cindy. No, you guys can tag me in all the videos that you want. I don't mind. Just realize if I don't get to them, that's why. It's not because I'm blowing you off or ignoring you. I'll start tasking them out to Jen. I'm like, hey, Jen, 47 more videos today got tagged. I need you to watch every one of them.
Absolutely. Anything for the audience.
Exactly. Dr. Altoi's level of entitlement and arrogance with Kent is infuriating. Trump threw him a bone by placing him in the administration. He tries to do everyone's job but his own. Ungrateful, petulant child. I agree, bud.
I think that's my biggest complaint is he's spending all this time wanting to get involved with all these other peripheral things that are not his job. And yet, how many terror attacks did we have Oconus while he was serving at NC or whatever it's called?
NCTC.
NCTC.
At least 4 that I know of, right? 4?
4, and then I think that there were 3 or 4 others. I know that there was one recently here in North Carolina that was stopped by the FBI.
Yeah.
So,
Tammy McDonald got a little taste of that space earlier. I was listening to you in an X space of the opposing theory. They were so rude and absolutely brain dead with the Charlie Kirk case. There's absolutely no change in their minds. They are crazy. You said it. I didn't say that. But I mean, yeah. All right, you can't play.
President's being influenced by Israel at all. All the publications are talking about this. Everyone's talking about this. Senator Lindsey Graham is actually bragging about this. Ted Cruz was Ted Cruz was on the flight.
Yep.
So how is this like some kind of fucked up conspiracy? Like all the signs.
Yeah. They're trying to shut people up by saying you're a conspiracy theorist, you're anti-Semitic, etc. But yet they will come out and they will say we had to attack Iran because Israel was going to attack Iran. I mean, Secretary of State Rubio said that, the president said it, many others have as well. So it's right there up in our face. And so again, for me, it was just something that
that was bad messaging on their part. They basically kind of, it was like an attempt to throw Israel under the bus. Like, oh, well, they were going to attack them. And, because of that, we were going to get dragged into, based on everything else they said, that part is not exactly probably the most, clear, concise, most honest message. I thought they were like, oh, we're just here to help. I don't know what their messaging was, but nobody
they came out and clarified too.
They did. Yeah, they did. But that's the problem when you make those mistakes like that. And even if you clarify later on, again, it's the same thing with a lie, right? That's going to go around the world before the truth has a chance to get his boots on. So that's their mistake on that part. But it doesn't make everything else that he says true. Go ahead, Jim.
I felt like I couldn't influence anymore from the inside, and I could no longer be a part of.
But it's insane. I mean,
your job wasn't to influence. Your job wasn't to influence. Like, what a dumb statement. This is going to take 47 hours to get through this hour and a half video or whatever it is. I couldn't influence anymore, so I had to quit. I had to get out of there. Your job is counterterrorism, dude. Your job is to make sure that all the intel from all the other departments are coming in, and then you're getting it back out to the right people. You are the fusion center. I couldn't influence anymore. My God. Need it play.
Israel spent $6.4 billion on this war since March. You know how much the U.S. has spent? Approximately 18 to 25 billion, with another request for another 200 billion from Congress.
Yeah.
Now, why the fuck are we the ones floating the bill for this?
Because that's the way it is every time. The Israelis will have their objectives. They will convince senior American officials.
I'm going to jump in here and say the reason why we're footing the majority of the bill is because we're the one that's going to be controlling the oil and the Strait of Hormuz. So we're footing a little bit more money up front, but we're going to end up getting 10 times that back after the fact.
And imagine the ROI that we get on that $200 million if we don't get attacked with a nuclear missile or a nuclear bomb in 10 years. Or we're not having to go back to Iran and do this all over again because they're coming up with another missile program and another nuclear weapons program.
When they have 10 times more missiles and more capability.
Yeah. Did he say 200 billion or million? 200 billion, right?
Yeah, he said
200 million ain't going to get you very far in a war, I'll tell you that. All right, you can play if you want.
And the majority of that 200 billion was to restock the coffers and to add some of our new enhanced weaponry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is also.
Hold on one second. Of U.S. budget. So I just want to see what percentage 200 billion is of the U.S. budget. Anybody know how much 200 billion is of the U.S. budget? It's pretty crazy. You guys throw down some guess down in there in the chat. I want to see some guess. What percentage of the budget do you think 200 billion is? 200 billion. What do you think it is?
I'm going to say 2%.
You can see my screen or something, can't you?
No, I'm just literally guessing.
2.7%. 2.7%. I'll spend 2.7% of our budget if, again, my kids don't have to go fight Iran, especially not having to go fight a nuclear Iran. I'm paying $5 a gallon for diesel. Highest I've seen it in a while since Biden, by the way. It was higher under Biden and we weren't at war. At least not with Iran. So anyways, just really bad fiscal and energy policies throwing the prices up there.
Their objective. And if the Americans don't agree, then the Israelis will set off a series of actions that make us react. And the next thing you know, we're having to contribute our blood and our treasure. And that same playbook is playing out now. And I referenced the Iraq War. I referenced what happened in Syria as well in my letter, because this is the same playbook we've seen over and over again. And, you and I saw it at the tactical level when we were deployed in the war on terror. And then now I saw it at pretty senior levels take place over the course of the last year.
Snap your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Plus, get your biggest refund.
Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only.
File now.
Hey, it's Ashley with Four Patriots. We're in a bit of trouble. To put it plainly, we need to clear out some.
We're going to get into all this. I want to start by reading President Trump's statement today on Truth. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostile.
No, go ahead. I was just saying I have YouTube Premium. We shouldn't be getting.
It's me because I don't have YouTube Premium. So if you want to bring it up, I'll do the.
You know what? I didn't realize my producer was a peasant.
I am. I'm sorry. I live out in the country. I spend my money on garden and deer hunting. Bumps, thank you.
Hold on.
He stated, in quotes, no conversation has taken place between Iran and the U.S., and Trump's claim about having these talks is false. They described it as psychological warfare intended to manipulate energy prices, markets, and buy him time. And a senior Iranian security official quoted, Tehran is not in talks with Trump, and that he backed down from attacking energy infrastructure after Iran's credible military threats and market pressure. There has been and is not any negotiation underway. IRGC, linked outlets, and Iran's parliament speaker called reports of negotiations, in quotes, Trump's own words, fake news.
We're in a bad situation. I mean, I pray that this 5-day somewhat truce, I hope it lasts. The problem is the Israelis have said they won't stop striking throughout the entire period.
They came out and said they don't care.
Right. So this is the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is that we right now are not capable of restraining the Israelis. I think if President Trump focuses on it, I think he has the power to restrain the Israelis. But that's the key.
Oh, we definitely have the power to restrain the Israelis. And Trump has multiple times.
Key first step in any formula towards peace. He's got to restrain the Israelis before he can even get the Iranians to the negotiating table.
Now, there's a lot of speculation that maybe the president made that statement to jet launch the stock market today. Here's a post. Just minutes before Trump's announcement of talks with Iran, massive traders hit the market. In one move, 1.5 billion in S&P 500 futures were purchased. This trade was so large, it sent the entire index 0.3% higher that exact minute. 192 million in oil futures were also sold. These orders were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else at that time. Whoever made those trades made $60 billion. I wonder if that was Congress. I wonder if that was insider trading from Congress, the administration, the Senate.
I hope people look into that.
I hope they look into it too.
I hope they look into it because it definitely should be researched.
Well, a lot of people are looking into it because it's going viral on X right now, and it's
the problem is
good point.
Even if it was worst case scenario, and this would be very bad, a way to make money. At the end of the day, the 5 days expire. We're still in the exact same spot that we're in, where there's going to be a stranglehold from the Straits of Hormuz. There's going to be continued escalation. Energy prices, even if they stabilize for this 5 days, what's going to happen when day 5 arrives? We have a problem that we have to solve. Again, look, I believe that President Trump can solve it. Restrain the Israelis, work with the GCC countries. That's the way to get out of this.
Well, Joe, let me give you a quick introduction,
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people have forgotten just exactly who the fuck you are and what you've done for this country. So Joe Kent, Former director of National Counterterrorism Center, retired Green Beret, former member of a classified special missions unit, former CIA
Motorized Rambling
military
says,
officer,
I couldn't care
Gold Star
less that the IRGC is getting absolutely destroyed. My friends and family that died because of them. No F's given here. Kent, you are wrong. And if you leaked, God help you. So
to what real?
Let's talk about the leaks, because he's claimed that he hasn't leaked any classified information, and he might be telling the truth. So just like I read to you guys earlier, he has no investigatory authority whatsoever. He could end up claiming that Andrew Colvett handed those to him basically as a friend, and then he gave them to Candace. And essentially, he would not probably be considered lacking, sharing any leaking any classified information or even sensitive information or anything in between. So that could be his way out. The other thing too is, I've been thinking about this today, and people have brought it up too. Many of you in the chat, he may have handed it off to somebody else so that they leaked it. You can say, I didn't leak anything. One thing, I was sitting there working out with my son today at the gym, and I thought about this. I was listening to something that brought up Tulsi Gabbard. I am a little curious, just asking questions. What I do know is that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent are very close. I think they're definitely closer politically. So I think philosophically they agree. And then they are, from everything that I've seen, they're genuine friends. With this months-long thing going on with Candace Owens and the Charlie Kirk assassination and everything happening with that, and him being involved in it, and him wanting to get involved into the Thomas Crooks and the DC pipe bomb and so much more, I have a hard time believing that she wasn't in the know. I really do. So, take that for the 100%. That's all my opinion. All right. We're just speculating here. So I don't know that. Maybe he hid it from her, but I do know that they're very close. And I just have a hard time believing they didn't have conversations about this. So take that for what it is.
Service looks like. Trusted by President Trump as his foreign policy advisor and leader, and the leader who most recently served as head of counterterrorism for the United States of America, now being investigated by the FBI for leaking classified information. I wonder how many of the pedophiles that were in the Epstein files, I wonder how many of those pedophiles have active FBI investigations on them. Probably fucking zero. Fucking zero. As of this recording, Polymarket says there is a 13% chance that U.S. forces will enter Iran by March 31st and a 19% chance of a U.S.-Iran ceasefire by March 31st. What do you think about those odds?
Man, a ceasefire, I'm skeptical. Again, until the Israelis are restrained, there won't be a ceasefire. Boots in the ground, as you know.
Khan says Israel buys their military hardware from the U.S. I say Trump has the ability to put Israel in its place if he ever needed to, but that's not your call. Leaky Joe. I like the Leaky Joe. Yeah. And folks, there's Green Beret Nap Time did a really good breakdown and analysis. Next time that we have him on, I know we have him booked in the near future, but, and you can take it for what it's worth, but I think he does a really good job attempting to be as accurate as possible, but he provides the ROI that we get for the $3 billion a year that we send to Israel. And one of the things that we get out of them is, yes, we do sell them equipment, and some of that equipment is for testing. So they're actually getting field tests in combat operations, and we definitely get a lot of benefit. They're paying for that equipment, so we're not having to build equipment and test it when it's at scale and spend all the money and time doing that. We put it in an actual combat zone. It's reinforced, and there's redundant systems over there, so they can afford to test some of the newer equipment that we have. But again, Green Beret Nap Time did a really good job breaking down just the return of investment. I think he said it's like 1,500% or something like that. So there's a good argument, even if that number is not perfectly accurate, even if we just get a 1-for-1 return. All right, we just get our money back. I think that's a good investment, given the ability to project power in the Middle East the way that we do and having an ally like Israel. So to me, the more that I look at this, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't done a deep dive or looked at Israel. I was indifferent to Israel 5-6 months ago. Couldn't care less. And in a lot of ways, I still don't. But I do want to analyze what's true. And what I see time and time again is the anti-Israel crowd. Like, I research what they're saying because I wanted to be open-minded to it at the beginning. Like, maybe I'm just missing something. That doesn't seem true. And I research, like, that's a lie. And then that's a lie. And then that's a lie. And that's a lie. And that's a lie. Like, these are all lies. This is pure propaganda. You just want me to hate Israel with you. Like, no. And because it's a lie, I'm not going to do that. But a lot of people fall victim to that because they don't research anything. And they're like, yeah, that sounds true. It tickles my emotions just the right way, so I'm going to believe it no matter what. And not only am I going to believe it no matter what, even though I haven't researched it, I'm going to continue to share it all over the place and, continue to grow the cult. They're proselytizing. It's not like they're trying to inform you. They're selling you. They're trying to convince you, and then they'll shame you if you don't believe like they do, even though what they believe is total horseshit.
When you have combat resources in theater and you've got active combat going on, saying that you can control any of these factors is more of a wish than a plan. So my fear is that we could rapidly escalate.
Let's talk about your resignation and what was it? I mean, how long have you been frustrated with what's going on?
Basically, since the lead up to the first iteration of our conflict with Iran in June, I was very frustrated that we had kind of backed ourselves into a corner artificially. I was and remain to be a big supporter of President Trump's overall thesis of foreign policy, of peace through strengths, of stopping us from getting involved in costly wars. In particular with Iran, I think President Trump was uniquely postured to cut a great deal with Iran. He had, in the first Trump administration, he had killed Qasem Soleimani, the terror mastermind. Once he left office, the Iranians went right back up to their old tricks. They funded their proxies. They were attacking our troops in the region. October 7th happened. America generally was not respected by the Iranians. When Trump came back into office, the Iranians automatically said, okay, wait a sec, this is a whole different administration. We might be able to cut a deal with this guy, but also if we don't, he will use force like he.
Exactly. And Trump carries through. Like, we tried to negotiate with Iran. We tried to negotiate with them. He gave them like 10 days. And then guess what? And then on top of that, I reported on this the other day, right at the end of those 10 days. And also after Iran said, nope, F you, Trump. They wanted to test and play around with the bull. And they got the horns. They're like, no, F you. We're going to continue developing our nuclear weapons program. That's what's been reported that the RGC told Trump. And then on top of that, Trump got intelligence saying the Ayatollah and many other top leaders were going to be in one spot at the what time, one place. And guess what? They got to see the front end of a Tomahawk missile. And so he struck. And we're going to continue to strike until they give up. Like, that's the problem with the way that we conduct wars. And that's why they're so prolonged now. We used to fight, like, you have to fight wars until you kill people until there's either no one left to fight or no will to fight. That's how war is conducted. And that's how it's always been conducted. But what we've done and what we did all throughout Iraq and Afghanistan, all throughout the global war on terrorism, is and I was there watching it, by the way. We were like trying to play this thing with diplomacy and war at the same time, and that never works. That, from the enemy, looks weak. It looks like you have zero resolve. That's what it looks like. And you're handing me free stuff and saying, hey, we'll be your friend. Yeah, you got a gun in your hand, but you don't look very intimidated. And I'm telling you right now, the other problem that we always had in the Middle East, and we still do, is that we as Americans project our own sensibilities, our own values, and our own beliefs onto somebody else. We have these retarded diplomats and staff level officers that say things like, okay, and I've seen this happen, by the way. Okay, if I treat you like I would want to be treated, then you're going to respond the way that I would respond. And folks, as a E6, when I was in Iraq the last time, 08, 09, I was our FID partner. All right. Our FID force was a commando battalion. And on top of that, there was generals, there was colonels that I worked with as an E6. They didn't even know my rank. I never wore rank. They didn't know who I was. But I went in there and I treated those guys like privates. Treated them like privates. So we had this MIT team of like 6 lieutenant colonels. And they would come in there and they would start bowing. They would salute these yahoos like they're their equals. And then I remember one day I'm sitting there and I had a good relationship with the colonels, the U.S. colonels. They're like, Gary, like these guys respect you. Like they do anything you ask them to do. I'm like, I know, because I treat them like privates. You guys come in here and treat them like equals. Like a general in the Iraqi army, as far as I'm concerned, you are a freaking private, and you're the equivalent of a private in the U.S. Army. Like, I don't respect you. I run this place. All right. I'm in control, and you're going to do whatever I tell you to do. That's how this is going to work, so that we can go out and we can close with and destroy the enemy together. Because the way that you want to do things doesn't get anything done. And they respected me because they only respect force. They only respect strength. And when you go in there like a freaking puppy with your tail between your legs about the submissive pea, they're like, what a bitch. I mean, that's literally what they think. That's how they see the world. Even though you're trying to be nice, even though you're trying to show them respect, that's just how those people think. All right. It's a culture thing, and people want to project their own sensibilities onto something they don't understand. I wouldn't be ranting as much if I slept better last night. We already get that one. Cindy, you're a new member. Thank you very much for becoming a member. We appreciate you. And folks,
I'm enjoying the rant.
If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe. And again, if you want to become a member, link down in the description. It helps us out. A couple bucks a month, supports the channel, goes a long way. We hit that one too. So I didn't even move this thing, and it scrolled upward on me. This is why I missed chats. Oh, who was that? I think it was Khan. Forgot who it was. Somebody sent me a message, said I missed their chat. If I missed your chat the other night, throw something up there like, hey, you missed my chat. I want to make sure you're taken care of. And don't do another super chat. Just throw it up there. Say, hey, I'm the guy, whatever. Give me some sort of indicator. I'll make sure we get it up there. I'm not anti-Israel, but our tax dollars are going to American weapon companies through Israel. It's basically wealth redistribution. My God, I can't read tonight. From the bottom up. Let me think about that. Again, we need Green Beret nap time. He's already went through all the analytics, and I think he can present some good data to you. You can decide if you believe that or not. But again, the ROI that we're getting from there, I don't know, it's probably been 6 months since I looked at that presentation that he had. It's a good one, but we'll get him on here again and we'll talk about it.
Did against Qasem Soleimani. So they stopped their proxies from attacking us. The last time I was on your show, we were talking about how there had been over, I think, 150, 200 attacks against our forces in Iraq and Syria. That stopped when Trump came into office because the Iranians knew who was back. They also knew that President Trump was willing to make a deal and actively seeking a deal. President Trump deployed, I think, a very, very competent diplomat, Steve Witkoff, to go get a deal going with the Iranians. Now, this was a major threat to the Israelis because the Israelis viewed this as the prime time and Trump as the prime vehicle to use for regime change in Iraq. Now, President Trump's stated policy had been, and he says this all the time, that Iran can't have a nuclear bomb. Now, the Iranians actually agreed with President Trump, and they had a prohibition, a fatwa, a religious decree on actually producing a nuclear weapon. That had
folks, this has been debunked, and on its face, it's stupid. Just say, hey, look, they pinky promised that they would not build a nuclear weapon. Just say that, Joe. They have a fatwa that they're not going to build. We just played like 3 videos the other day of Iranian officials saying, hey, you know what? Behind the scenes, we're actually building a nuclear weapon. But Joe, let's go with the fatwa. That's a good piece of intelligence.
Did you notice too? He never asks about the fact that they also had the fatwa on missiles going farther than 2,000 kilometers, and they just shot 2 over 4,000 kilometers to Diego Garcia.
Look that up and confirm that. If we got something, I actually hadn't heard that, Jen. So if that's true, let's take a look at that and debunk him right here and now.
Held since 2004. And what the Iranians did say was like, hey, we're not going to make a nuclear bomb, but we want the ability to enrich uranium, because they had seen what had taken place in Libya and Iraq. And they said, hey, if we go the Gaddafi route in Libya and say, here's all of our nuclear making material, then they're a sitting duck. Then they can be invaded and regime changed at any given time. They saw the Saddam route. If they actually pursued a weapon, or even like kind of BS'd that they had a weapon, that same thing, they would be immediately invaded. So they kind of had this ability to say, hey, we have a prohibition on a nuclear.
No, this is not true. Everything he's saying is incorrect. He's like, oh, they wouldn't do that because they knew they'd be invaded. I just went through the other day, I still have it posted somewhere, of all the times they actually have completely violated that agreement. So dozens and dozens of times. So just stop. Just stop. Like, I can't even take it. Like, I can't believe he's going to sit there and pretend that he's buying anything that he says when he knows it's false. Go ahead.
I found the article.
Throw that up there. So we know for a fact that the IRGC just launched a intermediate range ballistic missile that went 4,000 kilometers.
Sorry, let me get rid of this. There you go.
Okay, I'm just seeing a blank. Oh, there we go. I'm going to full screen that thing. Okay, shocker. Iran lied about not having intermediate range missiles. Is there anything in there where they actually say they had a fatwa against it?
The Wall Street Journal reported that the missiles didn't hit the base, blah, 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 blah. In February, Iran claimed that its missiles could only reach 2,000 kilometers away. I know I saw something about them, part of their fatwa about the nuclear weapons, and I'll have to find the actual article itself. But yeah, they said that they were not going to be able to reach longer or farther than 2,000 miles or kilometers.
Okay.
So reports say they fired. I'll keep looking.
Okay. All right.
But we have some ability to enrich. This was a major threat to the Israelis' goal. So what I watched the Israelis do over the course of the last year was use their government officials engaging with our government officials, but then also their surrogates in the media, Mark Levin, who I'll talk to tonight, mainstream media, think tanks, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a lot of talking heads on Fox News, to move the red line. So Trump had said, my red line is no nuclear weapons. The Ayatollah said, great. I don't want nuclear weapons either. Let's talk. So they moved the red line by saying enrichment. Iran can have no enrichment. Enrichment equals a nuclear weapon, which is just fundamentally not true. So that would be parroted from officials in the Israeli government and then also on the news.
I mean, let's backtrack. Yeah, I don't think not one of our 18 intelligence agencies had mentioned that Iran was enriching uranium, correct?
They were doing enrichment to some degree. So there was enrichment.
Okay, I love this. Don't you guys just love the recycled narratives? You remember when the 18 different intel agencies also said that Biden's what's his name? Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, his computer was, didn't have everything on there that he said he had, and everything else that they said. So, I mean, they just re-say the same things. And that's what's crazy to me. I mean, think about this, folks. We sat there through the Biden administration. We were like, man, we got to get the Bidens out. They're lying. They're using the intel agencies against us. They're using the intel agencies against Trump. And then we actually win the election. We win the election We get all of those clowns out of there. And now what we're saying, we're using the exact same talking points that the Democrats were using on us, but now we have the right using it on the right. Whether it's the Russia hoax, now it's the Israel hoax. Same thing. 18 intelligence agencies said, Hunter Biden's laptop was not a foreign op or whatever. I don't even remember what the narrative was at this point, but same exact things over and over and over again.
Or no nuclear weapons.
But no nuclear weapons.
No
and
nuclear
we
weapons.
knew all 18 intelligence agencies agreed that the fatwa against actually making a nuclear weapon was holding, and the Iranians were not making a nuclear weapon. So that Tulsi Gabbard testified to that last year. She just testified to it again this year, that the Iranians, under the previous supreme leader who was just killed, now the Iranians more than likely are going to change their strategic outlook. That's my guess. My guess is like, hey, a lot of their hardliners are now saying, hey, do you see what this moderation got us? And now they're going to attempt to buy one or spread. That's just my guess. But for the last year, prior to this last conflict kicking off, we did not assess that they were trying to make a nuclear weapon. So that's why they had to move the red line and say enrichment. And so finally, through official engagements and the media continuing to echo this, they basically got the U.S. talking point to change, that Iran could not have any kind of nuclear enrichment. And that was a non-starter for the Iranians. And that's how we basically got into the 12-day war, Operation Midnight Hammer. Again, 12-day war launched by the Israelis. We said, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to do a series of limited strikes to take away any nuclear capability that Iran may have.
Yeah.
And then we're done. Now, at the time, we had seen, myself and others had seen how aggressive the Israelis were about wanting regime change inside Iran. So when Midnight Hammer and the lead up to it, we assessed that, hey, even if we did these strikes, the Israelis were going to come right back to us after a couple months and say, no, now is the time for us to do regime change. And that's exactly what happened. The difference is we had robust debates in the lead up to Midnight Hammer. After Midnight Hammer, President Trump's decision-making circle was very, very tight. And that's his prerogative. He can do that. However, he had all pro-Israel hawks like really in his ear. Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz.
There we go. The gatekeeper narrative. He's just surrounding himself with people that are just feeding him lies. And Trump is just so stupid that he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's just being so like, either is it Israel that is manipulating Trump, or is it the people, the Americans, most of which are either elected and or put into position by Trump himself? Are those people manipulating Trump, or is it the Israelis? It can't be both. I mean, I guess it could be, but that's what you're saying now. You switch, hey, Israel is controlling Trump, and now you're saying, hey, the gatekeepers that are in President Trump's cabinet are the ones controlling Trump. Those are Americans. And we can sit here and discuss the people that might be around Trump, but you can't sit there and say they're the ones directing this policy, they're the ones controlling Trump, and Israel's controlling Trump.
And then on the outside, again, the media echo chamber, knowing that President Trump was watching Fox News, knowing what media he was consuming, and they're all saying the same thing: Iran can't have any enrichment, which basically put us on this collision course towards a conflict. I think the Israelis once again got nervous about a month ago, because they knew that Witkoff and Kushner and others in the administration were actively engaging with the Iranians to get a deal. And that's why the Israelis launched their attack, knowing they could force our hands. And that's why I think you saw Marco Rubio and others come out immediately and say, well, yeah, there was an imminent attack, and the imminent attack.
This was the deal all the time. All right. For nuclear power, what you need is an enrichment of like 3.57%. That's the number. We know that they've been enriching to 60%. And from there, they need to be at 90% for true weapons grade, but it only takes like a week to go from 60% to 90%. So within a week, they can actually have a nuclear weapon if they're at 60%. What you got for us, Jen? Jen, is your mic muted? It is. I don't know
Sorry
if you're
about
talking
that.
or not. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I am. So this is the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and he said in Tehran, and this was back in February of this year, he said, in my opinion, At the moment, Trump unfortunately has himself become a victim of fake news. We do not develop such missiles. We have deliberately limited the range of our missiles to 2,000 kilometers. This is for self-defense only. Our missiles, as they were last June, only help us defend ourselves. So,
folks, we just have proof that what we have in Joe Kent is someone that believes Iranian slop and propaganda over our own intelligence agencies. He's like, no. All you 10,000 people that are doing all these things, working for DIA, CIA, NSA, working for DOD, 6,500 freaking staff officers. You guys are all wrong. Iran is telling us the truth, not you guys. And I believe Iran, and I should be the one in charge, and I should be directing foreign policy. Like, the last thing that you want in a government position, especially one of power, especially one of intelligence. I mean, how unintelligent is it to say, no, Iran's telling us the truth. It's the people surrounding Trump that aren't telling us the truth. That's what he's wanting you to believe. I mean, it's almost, this is a great face, right? Hold on, let me throw this up there, because get your stuff off my stage. There you go. Look at that. All right, he doesn't even believe it. Look at this. He doesn't even believe what he's saying right now. He's like, isn't this crazy? Isn't this shit? Sean, I'm telling them that what the Iranians are telling us is true, and our own government agencies, Americans trying to make America safer, they're lying. But the propaganda from Iran, like, he doesn't even believe it. Look at it. Look at that face. That is a face of, holy shit, are they buying this?
Was the Israelis attacking the Iranians. And then we knew that they would retaliate back against us.
Why would they retaliate against us?
Why would the Iranians retaliate against us?
Yes. If they know that the Israelis are the ones that hit them, why would they retaliate against us?
Because they know that basically we fund the Israelis, that Israel would not have the offensive capability without us. The Israelis are very competent at conducting, I'd say, like, smaller, more clandestine intelligence type of assassination.
Hold on. Let's back this up for just a second, because what he just said is that the United States controls Israel. That's what he said. That's what he said just now. Hold on. We're gonna back this up. It's so hard to like incrementally back up here. Let's back up like 20 seconds.
About a month ago, because they knew that Witkoff and Kushner and others in the administration were actively engaging with the Iranians to get a deal. And that's why the Israelis launched their attack, knowing they could force our hands. And that's why I think you saw Marco Rubio and others come out immediately and say, well, yeah, there was an imminent attack. And the imminent attack was the Israelis attacking the Iranians. And then we knew that they would retaliate back against us.
Why would they retaliate against us?
Why would the Iranians retaliate against us?
If they know that the Israelis are the ones that hit them, why would they retaliate against us?
Because they know that basically we fund the Israelis, that Israel would not have the offensive capability without us. The Israelis are very competent at conducting, I'd say, like, smaller, more clandestine intelligence type of.
They can't do shit without us, because we fund the Israelis. We fund them. We control them. That's what's actually happening. Everybody knows it. But you just want to turn that on its head? You don't think that Trump can say, you know what? You're not doing what I'm telling you? And by the way, like, you think that Donald Trump, knowing that we're dealing with this country, you know how Trump likes to throw his weight around. He likes to let people know who's boss. So BB comes in there and is like, Donald Trump, we're going to do this. Like, I fund everything. Like, you don't even have an Iron Dome without me, bud. It's remarkable that people say these things and then dumb people believe them.
Assassinations, very good at doing that. They don't need our help to do that. They don't need our help gathering very much intelligence. But for big military lifts that involve, deploying strike packages, several thousand miles, they need our help for that. And troops. And also,
they want us to die for them.
In order for them to commit that air power to go strike Iran, they're leaving some of their airspace vulnerable. So they need us to back them up in that regard as well. So without us providing the defense and the offensive capability, Israel can't do it. Now, Iran, in the lead up to the 12-day war, during the 12-day war and after Midnight Hammer, they observed the escalatory ladder very, very carefully. They didn't have their proxies attack us, and they also didn't attack us until Midnight Hammer. So they let the Israelis strike them throughout the entire 12-day war.
Yeah, MTX, exactly right. He said he believed they had a fatwa against the nukes. It's actually scary to think he was in charge of anything, especially our safety.
And they didn't target any of our bases in the region. And then after Midnight Hammer, they shot back an equal amount of missiles at like the empty sector of one of the bases in Qatar, as we dropped bombs inside of Iran. So I think this next iteration, they said, we're not going to do the escalatory ladder. If you guys come after us this time, because they knew that the Israelis were going for a regime change. They were going to try to take out the supreme leader. And that's what led them to say, if you guys are going to do this, then we are going to retaliate with the full force, because they didn't want to get pushed around again.
Yeah, where did that intelligence come from? It didn't come from us.
The intelligence about them
enriching uranium.
It wasn't even intelligence. It was literally just talking points. I mean, I don't even think it was portrayed as intelligence, because this is what the Israelis, they're very good at.
Fucking serious?
The Israelis are very good at doing this. The Israelis will come and they will have engagements with our intelligence services, with our diplomats, and they will give information. And they will say something like, well, this isn't in intelligence channels yet, because we, as you know, we formally share intelligence with the Israelis, but that makes its way through our own checks. And it's not a perfect system, but it's at least a system. And they'll say, hey, this isn't in intelligence channels yet. And then we'll go back and we'll check it to see if it's actually in intelligence channels. And a lot of times it's not. And that's the way this enrichment talking point was really spun, because they just basically said, no, America's policy has always been no enrichment. And I went back and I looked, and people can fact check me. The only American official who ever said America's policy is zero enrichment was Mike Pompeo in the first Trump administration. So the Israelis in this Trump administration came and they were basically like, here's President Trump's policy from his last administration. And he contained Iran. This is it. This is the policy. And they echoed it over and over and over again. Whereas all President Trump had said was,
all right, so let's quick refute his entire claim. So understand, the fatwa against nuclear weapons was since the early 2000s. So I'm just going to go to the major violations of the JCPOA. Major violations phase 2019 and onward. July 2019 exceeded the 300 kilogram limit on low enrichment uranium stockpile. First major breach. September 2019 began enriching uranium beyond 3.67%, up to 4.5% initially. Folks, there's no reason they'll be above 3.67% if all you're doing is providing nuclear power. November 2019 installed and used advanced centrifuges, being beyond allowed R&D limits, and doubled their number. Well, what are they doing that for? November 2019, resumed uranium enrichment at the Fordo underground facility, prohibited for enrichment under the JCPOA until 2031. They weren't even allowed to use that facility, but they were. 2020 and onward, who did we have in 2020? A weak Joe Biden. So they went balls to the wall on this. Further stockpile growth tripled or more in some periods. Enrichment up to 20%, then to 60% near weapons grade production of uranium metal, and expanded centrifuge installation and R&D. Pure violation. The only reason that you have 60% is because you are trying to make a nuclear weapon. All right. We have blown the fatwa nonsense out of the water. That started in the early 2000s. We are violating that all to hell and back. And there were plenty of violations before the JCPOA went into place to begin with. February 2021, stopped implementing additional protocol on JCPOA specific monitoring, removal of surveillance equipment, reduced inspector access. This has led to the IAEA losing continuity of knowledge on key activities, centrifuges, heavy water, etc. So February 2021, we had no idea what was going on in there. They could have built 10 nuclear bombs. They could have had all of that uranium above 90% and just stored away somewhere. We have no clue. Ongoing 2021 to 2025, stockpiles now dozens of times the JCPOA limit, 40 to 48 times in some 2025 reports. Enrichment to 60% with hundreds of kilograms accumulated. Production rates increased, dramatically failed to cooperate on undeclared sites and safeguard issues. So Joe Kent is either naive or he's a liar. You guys choose. But there's a fatwa. They pinky promised.
No nuclear weapon. And so to short circuit the agreement, essentially, that the supreme leader and Trump had that got them to the negotiating table, the Israelis moved the red line by basically having their surrogates, their official government interactions, but then also the media echo that. It's a very clever, pretty sophisticated plan, but they got it done through repetition.
You got a lot of flack for something that you said on my show the last time you were here. About, sure. I think you said that we'll roll the clip right now, but I believe you said that they've attacked us over 150 times using proxies, and people are calling you a flip flopper. Yep. What do you have to say to that?
I think if they look at the totality of everything I've ever said, I am neither an isolationist nor am I a hawk. On Iran, if their proxies attack us, we should hammer them. I will debate anybody on the utility of killing Qasem Soleimani. President Trump was justified, and he was correct, and he was bold for killing Qasem Soleimani and his deputy Abu Mahdi Mohandas. He was really bold in the fact that he took them off the battlefield, but then he didn't get suckered into what we're in right now, which is a regime change war in a massive country like Iran. So I've always been against us doing a prolonged kinetic strikes inside of Iran. When Iran shot ballistic missiles at our troops, I thought we would have been justified to basically counter battery and take out some of those ballistics. Now, right after the Iranians shot the ballistic missiles in retaliation for Soleimani at our troops at al-Assad, they accidentally shot down that Ukrainian airliner, and that basically ended the conflict right there. But I have never been in favor of a regime change war inside of Iran. If their proxies attack us, if they attack us, we hammer them back. But again, going back to the Iranian escalatory ladder, if you look at how Iran has behaved since President Trump basically killed Soleimani, and then since he came back into office, they were very, very deliberate about what they were and what they were not going to do. They didn't hit us until we hit them. And then again, just for the record, I'm not a fan of the Iranians. I'm not a fan of the Quds Force. Like, I fought them, you fought them, they've killed friends of ours. But at some point, we do have to find a way that we can de-escalate these situations and move on. The default answer can't always be, well, we're going to do another regime change war and get sucked into this place for 20 plus years.
I actually have a harder time listening to him than I do. Oh, by the way, folks, if we're going to be closing this down pretty soon, you guys go jump in. Apparently, Gray Hughes is going to have a show here in 25 minutes. I'm also going to go live on a X Space. So I just invited him on. He's like, I would be glad to, but I got a show. So go support Gray Hughes. If you're not following Gray Hughes, make sure you go follow him. Another person that is out there giving you the truth, like it or not. The good, the bad, the ugly, it's the truth. Not as always sexy as everything else. I want to go through some super chats, make sure we get some additional comments in here. Trump is the dad standing out under the tree watching as his son sneaks out the upstairs window so he can see where he's going and show up and humiliate him in front of his friends. It sounds like someone is speaking from experience. I agree with this, Kathy. I agree with this. This may be unpopular, but I think we stayed out of World War II too long. Isolationism doesn't work. Eventually, they come to you. They come after you. That's exactly right. So many of the Allied forces, before we got into it, were almost beaten. We would have been much better off. In hindsight's 2020. Look, and that's the problem with war. It's like you're always going in with risk. I don't care what you plan, what you think's going to happen. It could always escalate. Things could go wrong. So, it's always better to, err on the side of caution when it comes to war, for sure. That being said, like, you got to do a good analysis. Like, all right, if we're going to do this, we got to do this all the way. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out of warfare. Like, you got to go kill people until they're tired of being killed. Simple as that. I mean, we talk about Islamic regimes. We talk about radical Islamists. There was nobody more radical than the Japanese. The Japanese, like, what was it? There was like one guy left on an island, and like 15 years later, he still thinks the war's going on and still defending his little foxhole. I don't know what the exact timeline is, but there was definitely those guys were hardcore. You talk about kamikazes; those guys would have not given up, except for that we dropped a bomb, 2 bombs on them. They're like, oh crap. Didn't know this thing existed. We better no longer crazy radical. I mean, if we would have fought them conventionally, it would have cost tens of thousands more of American lives and a lot more treasure as well. So some people, oh, I won't say that. I'm going to get knocked off of YouTube here. More Israelis have died so far, 17 and 5,000 injured. In 1999, his dad sued DOJ. Chris Kent won $6 million against the FBI after a judge ruled agents willfully leaked bad intelligence, alleging Portland banker had bribed Czech Republic officials. Didn't know that. That's interesting. I'm with you, Lori. I just don't get it. Like, why do these people just suddenly, like CNN, their word is gospel? Suddenly the IRGC and their propagandists, their word is gospel. No, but, you know, the feds, the Trump administration, they're the ones lying to you. It's like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. All right, folks. Yeah. Hopefully you got some out of that. I don't know. Like I said, I actually have a harder time listening to that than I do Candace, because unfortunately I know he's lying. And on top of that, I know he's smart and intelligent, and he shouldn't be saying the things that he's saying. I find it very disappointing. And, you know, one of the things that I've gotten away from, because I spent a lot of time, and I know many of you have as well, we sit around and we try to figure out what is motivating these people. Like, what's the incentive? You know, what's the motivation of Candace Owens? What's the motivation of Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Ian Carroll, all of these people? And it's probably different for all of them, and it's just a complete waste of time. And I'm just done with it. Like, I don't care what their motivations are. I'm not going to waste any more time on that. It's an exercise in futility. All I know is, like, I can see what you're doing, and I can see the trajectory. I can see the first, second, and third order effects of what you're doing and what you're trying to do to this country and what you're trying to do to my mind and how you're trying to manipulate me and my fellow countrymen. I don't care what your motivations are. I don't care if it's money for this person. I don't care if it's revenge for Candace Owens, which I think drives a lot of what she does. I don't care if it's political aspirations for Joe Kent. I don't care. It's a waste of time. And it's probably, no matter what you come up with, no matter how much time you spend thinking about it, because we all want to do that, it's probably wrong at the end of the day. Probably something you don't even realize. Bush literally pushed for no enrichment from 2003 to 2005. That's literally the OG Bush policy. How was this man working in counterintelligence? If I was the president of the United States and you came up to me and you said, President Gary, they are definitely not, they do not have a nuclear weapons program because they pinky swore with a fatwa. I'm like, get out of here, dude. Get out of here. This is dumb. And that's what you're trying to tell us.
President Gary.
No, we don't. Nope. There's no, I will not, knock on wood. I have no political aspirations whatsoever. I can't think of a worse place. Like, we need to be right here. We got more power, more influence. We can get more things done. We got more freedom to say what we want to say. We don't have to get up there and worry about, you know, pleasing donors and making sure that we build, you know, coalitions with people so that we can win an election. Like, elections change people. I don't think they can help it. I think some of the best people get corrupted in one form or another. You have to compromise. You got to compromise to get anything done. It's just like, you have to. It's not even a question. And unfortunately, too many people compromise far too much. So, all right, folks. Well, listen, we're going to end it right there. I'm going to jump on a X Spaces. There's several folks over here. I would love for you to jump on with me. Con, you're welcome to. We saw Rage Bronson up in there. Anybody that wants to talk, look, we're going to try to get everybody to talk in there, but we're going to go in there and try to build some bridges and hopefully change some minds with some of the alternative theories, to say the least. We'll see how many people jump in on that. But if you want to join me on that, right after this, I'm going to open up a space and we'll go from there. Listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all your love and support. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., I got Zach Costello. We're going to have a very good, civil, friendly discussion and debate over everything that is Candace Owens. He loves Candace Owens. He doesn't believe anything the federal government tells him. Go watch that Andrew Wilson debate with him. Again, I do my hat goes off to Zach. I have a lot of respect for him because he is willing to discuss these things. No one else is. It won't come on, and that you know why they won't. Is because they know that their entire BS is just going to fall apart with any little bit of scrutiny. That's how it works. All right, folks. Jen, any final words from you?
Just another great show. Thank you to everyone in the audience, all of our mods, everybody. We so appreciate you. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and then join us over in the spaces so we can actually hear your voices.
We get 10 more members. I bet I can afford to actually pay for YouTube Premium for Jen. So
okay, that's funny. Thank you, Gary.
We got a membership drive, so Jen is no longer a peasant. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Some of you I'll see you in just a few minutes, or hear from you in just a few minutes. And if not, make sure you join in tomorrow. Do we have anything tomorrow evening, Jen?
No. So if we want to watch the rest of this garbage, we can.
I may jump over. Honestly, I think I'd probably rather do a Candace watch party than this. I may watch some more of this on my own if I can bear it, but this is.
Well, it does get much worse because Sean Ryan basically calls President Trump an effing loser. And then Joe Kent goes on his tirade about how we should take away all offensive capabilities, from military capabilities from Israel, and we should only leave them with defensive capabilities. And then it bottoms out after that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you covered it. You covered it. No reason to cover it tomorrow. All right, folks. Look, we love you. Until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you.